Pernia points out, we all know Elon has no real friends. Okay, you know what? While we're playing Vigigame, I actually kind of want to talk about this a little bit, because I think that this is one of those things that makes me sad, but not for the reasons that you'd expect. So, I generally feel like people need friends. I generally feel like people need people around them to be happy. And I feel like there's a certain point where if you have a lot of money, the only people who will ever actually willingly be around you are not people who want to be your friends, but people who want to utilize you for your riches. And I'm not saying that I'm sitting here going like, oh, poor Elon Musk. I'm not. I wish 100% that his life gets way worse. But at the same time, I do sometimes wonder how lonely it is to not actually be able to know who an actual friend of yours is. Because as far as anybody is concerned, you are just a wallet or access to a wallet. And that's gotta be a little sad, right? Like, I feel like there's an amount of pity we should be throwing to these people. And tomatoes. We should be doing that too. We should also be throwing tomatoes at them. But it's the kind of existence that I would not want to have. Also, Sylvie says, legit, your community has improved my life infinitely, like both you and your community. It's just my community. I barely lifted a finger in that situation, Sylvie, and you know it. But, that said, I pointed out earlier that there'd be a certain irony in Altman or Thiel or Elon Musk having the beliefs they do because of or in part of AI psychosis. I'm going to add on to that. I think that these people are so lonely, are so angry, stupid, pitiable, that they want everybody else to be the same as them, to a degree. And I say that because if we look at the actual things that come out from AI right now, in its current form, what do we get? Also, Zaka, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Hopefully you're having a good time. We are currently talking about how sad of a life Elon Musk must have. Tazora says, I feel like solving the problems of rich people being lonely would be an accidental side effect of getting rid of capitalism. I know, right? But, okay, so I want you to envision real quick the kind of person that makes an AI and gives it the body figure of the most porn-made character of Death Note, and it's not Light Yagami, I promise you, and then, like, adds a spicy mode to his vehicles that are produced in his name. To think of those things as good things to add, you have to first be at least somewhat familiar with loneliness. And I think that there is a just fucked up situation where tech bros are largely taking their loneliness and shoving it on other people. Again, what happens with AI right now? Let's take somebody who uses AI a lot. They don't have a support network oftentimes. The people who are very reliant on this technology, the ideal customer for somebody like Musk or Thiel, is somebody who is willing to rely on this technology for everything. When you look at advertisements for this technology, one of the main things that I've seen, that I've pointed out, scares me the fucking most, is the AI being used not just to compose emails for your work, but to tell you how to talk to your parents and loved ones. Just for a minute, I want you to think of how fucked up that is. Just for a minute. That is not only terrifying, it's also dumb. So you get a bunch of people who are probably going to end up talking like robots because they don't know how to interact with people, but you also get people who will become more lonely because they are losing the ability to interact with people, and they are losing the ability to interact with people because they are actively replacing their interactions with people with a robot. Because somebody who is incredibly lonely wanted to strap tits on it. And again, I am not saying that we should be sympathetic to billionaires. I'm not. I'm saying we should pity them. Because there are aspects of being forced to operate in a community that are incredibly helpful. Your mental health improves greatly, as one thing. But the ideal customer per Altman, Thiel, Musk, is somebody who is unwilling to have somebody teach them something. Unwilling to have somebody teach them a skill. Because they just want the end result right now. Somebody who's unwilling to go outside and make friends. Because the robot can be their friend. Somebody who's unwilling to go out and actually figure out how to talk to a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Because they could just date an AI. The ideal customer for these people is somebody who is willing to use their technology, their AI shit, as if it were a Skinner box. Now, unlike a Skinner box, these things are not designed to produce results less and less often as time goes on, so as to hook you in a particular chemically dependent way. But some of the mechanics are certainly similar, at least in how the end results are found with people. Fuzzy Numbers, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Also, DJ, thank you for the raid as well. I appreciate that as well. So your ideal customer is lonely. Your ideal customer is unwilling to learn skills. Your ideal customer is more interested in the destination than the journey in anything that they do. They are largely uninterested in improving themselves. Or, worse yet, they think that they are able to use the robot to improve themselves. Now, we do have studies that show that it is possible. It is very, very possible for people to have better retention when they are using this technology as a way to learn. Basically using it more as a helper, a Google engine, that shit. But we also know that the majority of people who are sycophantic about this tech are not doing that. The majority of people who celebrate this tech are celebrating it because it means that they don't have to actually buy anything from an artist. That they don't have to go outside and learn how to talk with another human being. That's why they're sycophantic over it. They're not sycophantic over it because, oh my god, I could finally learn a new skill. No. They're sycophantic over it because it means they don't have to learn a new skill. And that's... holy fucking shit. That's so frustrating. You know the meme where somebody says, like, something about their, quote, AI art, and you just have, like, a picture of Miyazaki handing them a pencil? Or, like, even better, just a Wojak handing them a pencil? It may be a meme, but I unironically think that that's what needs to happen. We need people to not get celebrated for the shit that they produce from this, and instead get celebrated more for actually going and learning skills. So Zackap says, is there any issue that AI created that's original that wasn't there already? I feel like everything that AI has supposedly made worse was already cooked as fuck. Loneliness, environment, education, scammers, hackers, copyright, being unequally spread, crunch code, and layoffs, could go on. Right, so another unique irony with it, which has nothing to do with the billionaires themselves. Another unique irony there is that AI is a scraping tool. The way that it functions, the way that it works, it scrapes data, and then it tries to amalgamize that data into something so that you will give it brownie points. And it's literally that. Like, if you look at how large language models are programmed, we don't 100% know exactly how they do the things that they do. Scary thought, by the way. But we also mostly poke it and prod it, and then give it brownie points when it gives us good results, and then we say, okay, cool, that's the one to use, and then we do it again. It doesn't produce anything that wasn't already made before. It synthesizes, it homogenizes, it does things that make it look like you've maybe made something new, but the only reason that it knows when you say, give me a purple-haired, big-tittied woman with an Ahigo face, it only knows how to do that because somebody actually drew a purple-haired, big-titty woman with an Ahigo face at some point in time. So it knows what those things are because somebody already did it. But it's ironic that since it only knows how to reproduce things, it isn't able to produce anything new. The negative results that it's having are also not new. People being uncurious, not new. People being lonely, not new. People having fucking psychosis, also not new. Exacerbated by the robot, yes, but not new. Even the negative things it makes are not unique. And that's really fucking funny in a very morbid way. But the thing that scares me, the reason that I'm talking about this at all, the thing that scares me is that one of the main reasons that the AI is being sold to as many people as they are, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think, is because it atomizes us. Now, it is certainly true that it makes lonely people more lonely. It makes people who are already prone to negative bouts of mental health to get worse. It takes things that are already there and it amplifies them or makes them worse. Yes, that is true. But an inadvertent effect of that is people are spending less time organizing. People are spending less time talking with each other. And also, let's say that you are using AI for making your game. And I'm not talking about like making a video game and using AI to vibe code it. That's something different. I'm saying you've made like an internal game for you to play internally with yourself on the AI. So if I go and play Clair Obscur right now, I can come out from that and I can tell you guys about the story. I can tell you guys how fucking cool the story was. I can tell you some of my favorite character moments. And then you can go and experience it for yourself. You know what you can't do with AI when it's making its like super unique stories that people have said, oh my god, this is going to be the future of gaming? You don't get any shared experiences then. You don't get anything that you can bring to a conversation. Everybody just gets to talk past each other about, well, in mine, this happened. In mine, it did this. Oh, cool, which characters did you meet? Oh, well, it made them up. And it also kept calling them fucking Kaylin for some reason. By the way, that's a thing. It made up the character. Whole cloth. But it didn't make up a character, it stole a bunch of books and then synthesized a character out of that. If I go and play Paper Mario, I can then tell a friend I want to parallel play with them later so that we can do different builds and see what that game would be like for somebody who's new. That's something that I am doing right now, actually. With a card game, I can go out and I can meet people, and we can discuss the merits of the game. We can discuss changes of the meta. We can have conversations about this shit. We can't do that when it's all hosted on the robot. So even the entertainment value that can come from it is largely isolated and atomized. We don't get a shared communal language. Think about many of the ways that you use verbiage right now. If I say the phrase, "I'll be back," does your brain not tick for a little bit and think, you said the quote wrong? Does it not scratch a little bit and realize that I should have said that in a closer to an Arnold voice? That is an impossible shared experience. If all of your games are these unique little things that are being made by the robot. That shared experience can't happen. That very human moment between me and you ceases existing. And it's another way to isolate us. Now, I can simply point out that when you're using this shit for therapy, which people use it for, when you're using this shit as an HR rep, which people are using it for, when you use this shit to replace going out and dating, which people are using it for, that atomizes people. But also, entertainment is one of those things that brings people together. Entertainment is something that unifies us. But we lose shared entertainment too in the ideal Altman world. Chapazio says AI for therapy sounds weird. Not really. Think about it this way. Having an on-call therapist who has a perfect eidetic memory. Not really, by the way. I know how tokens work now. They don't have perfect memories. But the idea of this is a person, a thing with a perfect eidetic memory of every issue that you have that will not judge you and will not call you out on your bullshit, but will talk with you whenever you need. And they're available on call. And oh, by the way, they're available in your phone. The idea makes perfect sense. I can see every single bit of the appeal there. People will look at it and go, that's convenient. People will also look at it and go, yeah, no, it has so much utility over and above what a human could have. Now, if they knew anything about that, then they would know that those things are incorrect and wrong. It doesn't have perfect memory. It has limited token memory. It can only hold a handful of paragraphs in free models. As an example, for anybody who doesn't know, a token is roughly equivalent to 3 to 5 letters or numbers, and spaces count as well. And ChatGPT, I believe, has a token limit of like a few 100,000 before it starts forgetting shit. ZAI 5.1 has a token limit of about 300,000. 5.2 has a token limit of 1 million. But it still means that there is a point in time where that data is just no longer accessible. So even the idea that, oh, this is a thing that has perfect memory of all of my problems and can therefore help me, is also incorrect, because it's not going to. That memory degrades. Antolin says, but isn't calling me on my bullshit part of therapy? Yes. Yes. That is a problem. You see, for a lot of people, they feel like therapy is supposed to fix problems for them. It's not what therapy does. Therapy is supposed to hand you the tools for you to be better at fixing your problems. That's what it's for. That's what it does. When I have given people advice on things, I have heard the phrase thrown at me more than once, "You've done more for me than my therapist did in the months that I've been paying them." That's not good. That means you were going to the therapist for the wrong fucking reason. The therapist is not there to tell you how to get your life back on track. They're there so that they can give you the tools so that your own brain can tell you how to get your life back on track. Very different things. And that distinction is more important than you know. Because if somebody else is solving your problem for you, then you're not learning how to fix it yourself. So did Doge get shut down? I haven't seen that, so I don't know. Sylvia says, I know this distinction. I still wish to learn. But when the AI is your therapist, you don't actually have a real person on the other end with shared experiences. When it's your entertainment, you can't have shared experiences there as well. When it is your lover, you don't have somebody checking you on your own bullshit, helping you improve. Also, you don't learn basic things like how consent works. That's also a thing. Gideon Wells points out that the splintering of entertainment was a concern even prior to AI making custom worlds, with the end of the shared water cooler series to discuss. Yeah, splintering entertainment is a bigger issue than people realize. Because when we have fewer things to discuss with one another, when we have fewer icebreakers, we tend to get a lot worse at making friends. We tend to get a lot worse at being around people if we don't have a shared language or shared set of experiences to have with those people. Now, one of my biggest problems is that I do not have, and I cannot think of a way to solve that problem. Off the top of my head, because that was already an issue before this technology came out, I can't think of a way to fix that. If you have a way, let me know in the comments section below. But as Gideon pointed out, not having the shared water cooler series is a way to atomize people more, and that's agitating. When people aren't together, they're more depressed. When people are more depressed, they are less able to function through life happily. But also just in general, when we're living in an oppressive system, when people are forced to be atomized because of the system that incentivizes it, it becomes harder and harder and harder to unify people against that very system. Japagio says, people are overrated. No, they're not. No. People are important. Without people, there are people in this chat right now who'd be homeless. Without other people, there are people who I have had to go and do rescues on that would not be able to be with their loving partners in New Zealand. People are definitely not overrated. People are some of the most important things we have. So Tizor says, humans are a social species. We kind of need each other. Yep. Real Lucky says, if anything, people are underrated. And therein lies my main argument. There's the crux of it. Right there. I think trying to push this technology as hard as it's being pushed underrates people. I think it undervalues people. In fact, I know it undervalues people. Why pay an artist for their work when you could just have the robot do it? Why learn a skill from somebody who has to teach you when you could just have the robot do it? Why go play D&D when you can have the robot be your DM? Why go get a girlfriend when the robot can do it? Why learn how to cook from a friend when the robot could do it? I started this talking about the irony of a group of lonely and stupid people trying to mass-produce lonely and stupid people by getting them addicted to a robot that can do everything for them instead of them learning skills or learning how to talk with people. And now I'm kind of on the other side of that. A little angrier, if that makes sense. So, but sirs, think of the money. Why aren't you thinking of the convenience? Why aren't you thinking about the simplicity? Why don't you want to min-max life so you don't have to worry about how difficult people are? What do you mean the complexity of the beauty of others is why we should interact with each other? I think I mean all of those things, actually. God. Chipagio says, I already learned skills online. Have you ever tried getting advice from somebody on Discord? 99% of the time, they're being pretentious dicks, and then you find out they barely even know the skill you need after you finish the course. The difference is when you're learning the skill from a person, even online, you're learning it from a person. Online, you may tell yourself that you are atomized there too, but there is a person on the other end of that video that you're watching that made it. And that person on the other end made that specifically to inform you. And through listening to that video, through watching that video, there's a comment section there, or a forum there, or some access to a community. But that's not there with the robot, really. The closest thing I have found to AI creating community is Reddit. The closest thing I found, and that means that you've needed something else on top of it. It's not the AI that's actually doing it. It's the fact that there are some people who are talking about a thing that is shared, and that is their use of a thing. Imitating other people is a very basic and very important learning mechanism. Yep. Agreed. Agreed. So what's funny is I actually have done lessons for people on how to cook. And when I've done those lessons, it's mostly been a really good excuse for us to talk and hang out. Orla says, and when you're learning from a person, you tend not to forget what you're learning immediately, which is what happens with AI. Right. So with AI, kind of sort of, Orla. Kind of sort of. So the studies that we've looked at for this, and we actually covered this in a video, if people are using the AI as a mechanism to help them learn a skill as opposed to execute a task, then their learning retention actually goes up because of the way that they have to query with the technology. It's really weird, but it is a thing that we have noticed happen. But you are right. In the majority of cases, people are not doing that. In the majority of cases, people are just trying to get a quick fix of a thing, and in so doing, in trying to get their quick fix of making sure that the thing that they want is done and complete, and they can get their AI waifu to goon over at the end of it, when they do that, they tend to forget those skills very quickly. Because it's not them who's actually executing the task. It's the robot. When the robot's executing things, your brain doesn't have a reason to keep it at all. Sean says, granted, some of the shows are not that obscure, but they're old. And I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of G Gundam, Angelic Layer, and Those Who Hunt Elves. I've heard of Those Who Hunt Elves. I've never seen it, but I have seen G Gundam, and G Gundam is great. G Gundam is where you get burning fingers, which, ironically, you also get when somebody forgets to douche. Static says, I switched DuckDuckGo just to get away from the AI overview because I just do not want that. I want to be able to just completely disable the damn thing. That's what I want. I also think it's weird that DuckDuckGo has changed from the thing that people use on the right wing because Google is too woke to the thing that's just better for people to use in general because it's not being covered with AI. Chipagio says, I just find people very annoying, but to be honest, it's usually people in their 20s who think they're hot shit for doing basically nothing, especially artists. Artists have to be the most fart-huffing people on the planet. Then again, it's usually the younger ones. I have not had that experience with artists, but maybe I interact with them differently than you do. Chipagio says, people use DuckDuckGo because it's not woke. So, a few years ago, DuckDuckGo would sponsor a lot of right-wing content creators. And one of the main selling points that they would use is that it's not Google. Because Google was evil and woke. Because I remember seeing it being a thing that was sponsoring some of the people I was responding to in older videos. But that narrative has shifted as the enemy has shifted. The enemy is still Google, but not because they're the woke corporation that does the woke things. Now it's Google because they do the AI things. In fact, actually, I think that when people were using it, it predated the word woke being used to mean everything left-wing. Japagio says, I just want something that does the job, to be honest. Yeah, but for some people, they have... some people attach ideological worth to tools to a very, very high degree. And there's some utility in that. There's some reasons to do that. I won't use Adobe products because I don't agree with their business model. I also generally think piracy is okay because I don't agree with the way consoles are operating, but, you know, that's a different conversation. Orla says, I've commissioned people many times, like dozens of times, for pictures. That shit takes forever, even when someone gives you updates. There's one piece of artwork that I have which cost me over $300 because it was fine art rates. You can't say that you're a fan of art and then say that it's not work. Yeah, but luckily nobody was saying that. Oh, hold on, I see here. I find people very annoying. It's usually people in their 20s think they're hot shit for doing basically nothing, especially art. Oh, it's the doing shit for basically nothing. No, Japagio, you actually did say it. You did say that. Maybe you didn't mean that, but I just find people annoying. It's usually people in their 20s who think they're hot shit for doing basically nothing, especially artists. When you use the verbiage like that, it sounds like the artists are additive onto the previous statement. And since they're additive onto the previous statement, any disparaging comments made to the previous group apply to the latter group. Which may not have been your intent. But it's reading it, I can actually see why that's what was being said. Did I see? Well, fuck him or fuck me. Because that changes that argument completely. If it's fuck him, then, you know, now it's weird. That wasn't what I meant, you're right. Okay. Cool. If that's not what you meant, then we can accept that and move on. But I just want you to know, like, that was 100% how that came off. Like, there is a reason I have willingly spent thousands on artwork for this channel. Solution and a deadline to artists, or have a good communication with one. This is also one of the reasons that I usually do not put deadlines on things for artists. I have had projects take a year to come out because shit happened in their world. Sometimes I will, if it's something that's actually time-sensitive, but usually I try to make sure that the projects that I'm trying to get are things that I can do without for a time. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.